This partnership that we've had with the Open Society Foundation is one of the things that has our entire foundation excited. It's one of the things that is meaningful to me personally, of course.
In this work that we're committed to in improving life outcomes of black men and boys, we're really blessed at Open Society Foundations that we have a billionaire philanthropist chairman that decided to put his money where his mission is and make a really significant commitment to the campaign for black male achievement. But no one foundation can do it alone. Philanthropy can't do it alone. Government can't do it alone. Business. The only way that this is going to be successful is through partnerships.
I think that with resources like what OSI is bringing, with not only the financial resources, but also the development of us as people to be able to be leaders in this work, I'm really excited about seeing a convergence of all of that into a real change.
We don't have a kid problem, we have an adult problem. Everybody talk about these problems we have with our kids, we have an adult problem, so the investment has to be made and has to start with each and every one of us, and it's gonna, again, I go back to this, that growth that we're trying to stimulate is gonna have to take a collective effort in organizations like yourselves to come together. And it's going to take organizations like yours, Sean, to support these grassroots organizations to continue to do the good work that they're doing, to continue to provide the opportunities, because every child has the ability. Many of them just don't have the resources.
I would like to see that the adults, those in nonprofit organizations, government, and even just parents and families would see our young Black and Latino young men as assets to the community. And I'd also like to see a way to engage young men of color in these kinds of conversations, rather than just talking about them as if they're a problem to be solved, but as human beings with gifts and talents and calling and vision for their own lives. When you engage them, I think we'd be surprised.
One of the first things that comes up is that the mainstream media are too frequently part of the problem. When it comes to the story of black men and boys, they are too rarely part of the solution.
I would like to see the stories that get lifted up about us to not be the deficit, the negative stories, the stories that say 1 out of 3 black men are going to be involved with the criminal justice system, or that 50% of black men drop out of high school. I would like to see the other side, so the resiliency stories, that 2 out of 3 black men aren't involved with the criminal justice system. So what I want to see is stories that not just talk about us surviving, but talk about us thriving.
I think so many people believe that it's just a black problem. And what happens is that if it's a black problem, it's not my problem until it begins to affect me.
The real deficit is not black men and boys. The real deficit is the rest of America that loses the benefit of the black men and boys that we've marginalized, and we've lost the potential, the capacity, the innovation, the creativity that happens when you marginalize, when you over-incarcerate, when you over-discipline in disciplinary processes, when you kill self-esteem through these fear-based stereotypes and implicit bias that we still hold. So for me, really what I want to see is all of us to benefit from unleashing all that capacity, all that potential into our community. What would the world look like when that is no longer limited?
This issue is not about black boys and black men. It's not. I mean, we tend to hold that issue close, but it's really about how we make sure that this country has an equity lens and that we're actually serving all of the people in this country, and that we can keep in our positioning globally as an economic leader and as a leader that values and produces intellectual talent in the marketplace. And we can't do that if we leave and exclude a certain part of the population out of that conversation.
In our field, in this field of social entrepreneurship, too often it's restricted to the global elites. people from all around the world who already have access to the highest levels of power and resources. And one of the things that we have believed for 25 years is that social entrepreneurs can be found and must be found in every community. And so there are absolutely deep challenges facing the community of black men and boys in this country.
There has to be a sense of urgency around many of the academic, social, and community problems that our boys and men are faced with.
I think the biggest obstacle that we have is ourselves. You know, if we just use the simple premise that nothing is impossible if we believe it. So if we believe that, why don't we engage in that? We don't believe it because people make us feel like it's not true. It can't happen. And images reinforce that. Negative images of black men in the media.
Apathy, the inability to harness emotion to govern a response. I believe that that is one of the problems that we face.
One of the most dynamic things about the campaign that the campaign, has been able to grow to do and be is that it's not just investing in interventions or figuring out ways to go and fix what's broken, right? That we're finding the venues and the opportunities to invest in the ideas of black men.
In a lot of ways, I see changes happening in society that is consistent with what I would like to see. There are more black men in college now than at any point in history. There are 1.2 million black men in college. Black males are starting to advance politically. We have our first black president. So there's a lot of things for us to celebrate. But we continue to lag in a lot of very important aspects of life. Our graduation rates are lower. Our incarceration rates are much higher.
What excites me about the future in this campaign is simply, I believe that it's doable, that people from all walks of life are getting more engaged in this work. It's not just a black men's problem. It's women are concerned, people from other races are concerned, but it has to be our issue.